Nani ko lau poko I ke kaunga nau nā paliwi. E lele I tau apua ke ai kana he. O hala e nei nā puahi le ua o laniu. O pulu ia nā palai Canoe lani. O la ka aina I tau ai o la mai ka lewa mai. O la ka lehu I ka hana pono mai kai. Aloha e, aloha e, aloha e.
Aloha. I want to welcome you to our virtual Canoe Fest here at Hakipuu, Kualoa, where we'll have great guest speakers discussing many of the cultures here at Kualoa with canoeing, the history of canoeing, and the culture of canoeing. We really want to welcome you to this program. Mahalo.
Aloha, my name is Nakoa Prejean. We run sailing canoe operations, both commercially as well as educationally based programs for Kama'aina tourists alike. Anybody who wants to come out and join us on the water. Try to provide opportunity to them for them to come and enjoy some cultural activities. We started sailing with our ohana in sailing canoes, 6-man outrigger paddling canoes that were converted into sailing canoes. We would build the rest of the gear to make them into sailing canoes. So that was back probably mid-'80s, I would say. We started with our ohana. We started the Hawaiian Sailing Canoe Association, and from that grew the chance to form a sort of a cultural racing association, where we would go from island to island, do a race we'd usually start on the island of Hawaii, up on the northern point at Keokea, and we would race to Maui, to Hana Maui, and then the next day, everybody would camp there, and the next day we'd race from Hana Maui to Kahului. Then we'd leave our va'as there for usually a month, and then we'd come back and continue to the next island, to the next island, to the next island. So for me, that's really how I started sailing. In sailing canoes, we did some other boat deliveries and such, but for sailing canoe, that's our ohana brought us into it, and then that gave us the opportunity to sort of develop further programming and learn more about construction, both in fiberglass, composites, and in koa and other mediums. So that's kind of where we started from on that. A lot of the inspiration came from our family and being able to go out there. At that time, there wasn't, there wasn't a lot of sailing canoes. It was sort of a resurgence of the Year of the Hawaiian that kind of brought it back to the forefront. And so with that push and starting the association, it kind of opened the door to get a chance to play on the valas in that sense. You know, we had done used vala for paddling, diving, fishing, surfing, and so sailing was kind of the next natural extension of that, I guess you would say. And from that sort of grew, my opportunity to learn from my kupuna about the sailing portion of it, and then also the maintenance and repair of va'a. So my uncle Clark and Auntie Ray Clark taught us when we were young how to build va'a, fix va'a, and then that sort of grew into a passion for me. Then I was fortunate to be able to jump on with Makali'i, one of the sister va'as to Hōkūleʻa, to a voyaging, deep sea voyaging. So that kind of opened my eyes to a different style of canoe sailing, and a little bit longer distance, a little bit deeper meanings, deeper protocols, and then it kind of grew into a business format for us. So over the years, we've developed it into a business program where we do sailing canoe activities to take guests out and tourists out to give them an opportunity to come and experience the sailing canoe and all that it has to offer. So we basically developed our company, Hawaiian Ocean Adventures, to be able to give people the opportunity to come out and do it. You know, there's not a lot of sailing canoes per se, outrigger sailing canoes in Hawaii. So, you know, we've been doing it for quite a while, and previous to us starting the company, we would always take people out sailing when they came into town, friends, family, other members. Would always, you know, ask us if we, you know, we could take them out to areas like, you know, here in Kaneohebe or out in Kailua. And so out of that kind of grew the business model for it, you know, that we've kind of put together and have been in a successful partnership with the Disney Aulani Resorts for, I guess it's been about 10 years now, where we operate a sailing canoe out there. We also have a beach concession at the Four Seasons Resort in Kualoa, where we do all their water activities, subs, kayaks, offshore sailing canoe, as well as snorkeling packages. The va'a is a huge part of not only Hawaiian culture, but of Polynesian culture. You know, it was basically our mode of transportation for, you know, thousands of years, whether it was just to go out to go fishing, whether it was recreation with your family, whether it was going to war to the next island to battle. You know, the va'as were a significant part of our history throughout Polynesia. It also afforded us the opportunity as a vehicle, the vessel, to transport our cultures from the South Pacific, you know, and help to populate various points in Polynesia, eventually you know, being able to get to Hawaii, you know, and all done by traditional means. I mean, it was a very diverse system on the va'a, you know, traditional wayfinding, basis of resource management, you know, of bringing that all together onto the canoe, which basically is your own island when you're out there voyaging. So you have to have everything together. You have to have your crew together, your captain, your navigator, your crew, of course, the va'a, all the components to come together to have a successful voyage, you know, and trust in each other and trust in your va'a. So for me, the canoe has always been a big part of my life. How we were raised, we spent a lot of time on the water, and we continue to try and spend a lot of time on the water with our, you know, our keiki and our all our ohana and family, and try and open it up so that we can make it as inclusive as possible and share some of the things and ideas and, you know, mana'o that was shared with us as we grew up sailing and voyaging. So my dad was a big-time Hawaiian activist back in the day, Kawaipuna Prejean, Gail Prejean. So we actually, I remember going down to Hōkūleʻa when she was down in hakipuu, and playing around and being down there with the uncles and, you know, listening to them talk story and play music and share some of the, you know, stories and tales around Hōkū. So for me, yeah, it was kind of, I do remember being young down there playing around down at Hōkū when she was being built, you know, and then being around there when she was put together, put to sea, and then, you know, try to get back there when whenever the va'as come down. You know, hakipuu is such a beautiful place and so significant in historical sailing culture for Hawaii, you know, and for Polynesia as a piko for Hawaii, that it's always good to be able to go there, whether by land or sea. And usually when we're on the va'a, we try to come and pay our respects to hakipuu and kualoa and the voyagers who've come before us. Pay our respects. Well, I think it's lent a lot to me personally, you know, as the tutu of the large voyaging va'as, you know, the voyaging canoe. She's given birth in lineage to many va'a, you know, not only in Hawaii but throughout Polynesia. And I think she's instilled a pride and a recognition of knowledge and that base of knowledge that was lost for a long time, at least in Hawaii, with bringing Papa Mau, being able to get with Papa Mau to have that ability to utilize and have him share the knowledge that he had, because it was a knowledge that had been lost in Hawaii, traditionally. So to be able to go and find the master navigator who was willing to share that knowledge was a big part of that initial journeys of and voyages of Hōkūleʻa, with Nainoa and Shorty and all the navigators, the first line of navigators that were taught from Mau. And it is consequently, been passed down through the generations of next navigators, probably 3 or 4 lines down now from that original branch of navigators. So for me, I think it's given us, as a people and a culture, a greater understanding of the types of traditional knowledge it took to make such an intense and extreme and long distance voyage of that nature possible, not only on board the Va'a, but as well as all the people on land who make it happen, all the supporting parties that are a part of it. Because, when you go to sea, you leave behind a lot of people, who've supported you along the way. So it's important to recognize that there's sacrifices made on all sides, whether it's those that you're leaving at home, those that are on the Va'a, and then also those that are there to welcome you to, wherever you may be going. So I think Hōkūleʻa was a beautiful piece of that part of our culture, and being able to share it with future generations, and has really opened the door for a lot of next generation sailors, navigators, captains to go out and perpetuate their culture, and also to share it in a way and sort of integrate it into some of the modern day stuff that's happening. It is a very traditional knowledge, but nowadays a lot of the future generations are so based in the technological end of stuff. It's a good way to kind of integrate that, because so much of it is can be crossed over and used for teaching on that side. I think the importance for me is the connection you get with being out there on the water, whether you're sailing in a bay. It doesn't even necessarily have to be on a Va'a, you know what I mean? It just happens that that's our medium that we've been brought up with. But for me, it's a deeper connection with the ocean, with the elements, with our ancestors, as well as with our family and our keiki and the next generations, to be able to have that opportunity and that kuleana that was passed on to us, to be able to share that with them, I think that for me has been the biggest part of sailing and voyaging for me, as well as beautiful people and places you get to meet along the way and see along the way. But just having that connection of people, across, not only across Polynesia, but now throughout the world, with Hōkūleʻa voyaging around the world, there's been many connections that have been made that were facilitated due to that voyage and due to that history of Hōkū. And hopefully it'll be something that can be carried on by future generations to continue to learn and practice and perpetuate that art of voyaging and wayfinding and sharing that knowledge, so that we can continue to perpetuate that. I hope it's a continuation and natural progression of the learning, the knowledge, and the mana'o and sharing of that with future generations. For me, I understand the need for the traditional side, and I fully support that. I think that has to always be at the forefront to remain true to our roots. But on the other side, as a builder, I like to kind of push the envelope with different things, and different mediums to kind of see what how far you can push the envelope, you know. So, but I think in the big picture, it's you know, just being able to further share that love of the va'a, not only of the va'a, but of the va'a lifestyle that goes with it. You know, it is a you know, in itself a huge ecosystem. I mean, traditionally it was from Mauka to Makai, you know, and I think there's a lot of very traditional knowledge that can be brought to today and applied even through the Western side. You know what I mean? Issues of like resource management, you know, of sustainability, of bringing all that food to the va'a, and how are we doing it in a sustainable way with the support of our communities, and being able to then take that and pass it on and expand upon it, I think is a big part, because, you know, I think that's for the future of Hawaii. You know, the resource management here is a huge issue. You know, we're in a very small dot in the middle of the Pacific. We have what we have, and, you know, otherwise they bring it in, and the more we can do with agriculture, production of that nature, reforestation, you know, aquaculture, fisheries management, like that will only help to better, you know, future generations' ability to not only live and survive here, but hopefully make a living, you know, and stay here in Hawaii and be true to our roots. I think that's a big part of what voyaging has taught me, and hopefully has taught the next generations, you know, or shared with the next generations on how to be able to do that and take it back to your community, you know, and share that and make it better for all.
Aloha! I want to welcome you here to Kualoa Regional Park. I want to talk to you a little bit about our program, our Ocean Rec program. It's a great program where we reach out to the children of Oahu. We teach the kids many things. We teach them how to paddle canoe. We teach them how to sail canoe. We teach them the makahiki games. It's a great place for them to learn the culture of Oahu. This place is a very sacred place, Kualoa. It's a wonderful place. It's a beautiful place where the kids can get in touch with their culture, their ancestry, and the aloha spirit that runs through all of us. So I really want to welcome you and welcome your children to spend time with us this summer and visit Kualoa Regional Park, Campground A. I'm going to leave you guys with Kualoa Rap Song, which we sing to the kids on a daily basis. So here we go. 2 years ago, a friend of mine asked me to say this MC rhyme. So I said this rhyme I'm about to say. The rhyme was definite and it went this way. Took a swim test in the swim hole. I was amazed how far I could go. Then Justin put me inside the canoe. I was so happy I didn't know what to do. Then I took a walk to the fish pond where I lost my shoe. And then I saw a big Honu. See, that's the life that I lead in Kualoa. So don't you see? So put your hands up in the air, wave them around like you just don't care. Say hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Have a great day. Peace.